Okay, so my daughter's 2008 Honda CRV has over 100,000 miles on it. She just recently purchased it with about 101,000 on it. Now I think it's getting close to 104. We changed the transmission fluid recently. We're going to go ahead and change the transmission filter. This is something that's not really on the Honda maintenance schedule, but it just makes sense that if there's a filter there, it's obviously filtering out items that aren't supposed to be in there. And after 100,000 miles, it seems reasonable to replace a part that's inexpensive. I'll put a link in the description of the filter that I purchased, and also all the specialty tools that I end up using, if any, to do this job. This is the transmission filter, Honda part number 25430-PLR-003. I'll put a link in the description. Have some regular pliers. Not sure if I'm going to need all these items, but they're interesting. This is to separate the hose from the filter, like where the hose goes right here. You would put that like that and separate the hose that way. These are picks to use to pick a hose back off of the shaft there. These are hose clamps. So what these do is, as long as the hose is not reinforced with metal, as long as it's a rubber hose, you use these pliers to clamp the hose down. And so I've got two of these. Specifically bought a second pair in case I need them for this job, so that I would have one on either side, so that there's not a lot of transmission fluid that leaks out, but you know there's going to be some. So I figured it'd probably make for a cleaner job. And so these pliers open like that, and then you put them over a hose after you got the hose clamp back, and you would just you just squeeze them, and then these things move to go around the hose, so that it blocks fluid from leaking out and doesn't damage a hose, as long as it's not metal reinforced. These are for those kind of clips that you often find on these types of hoses, where I can show you when we get in there. I'm not sure if I'm going to have room on this job to use these, but those kind of clamps on the hose where you have to squeeze them together with pliers, and sometimes the pliers slip off. These are made to squeeze those, and then they lock and hold it for you. Not sure if we're going to need those. This is to take the plastic clips off the underbody protection to access what we're working on without breaking those clips. This is a tool I've never used yet, but it's supposed to remove those clips also without damaging them. So any of these that appear useful, I'll put links in the description in case you're interested. No doubt that you could do this job without most of these tools, so don't think that you need to go out and buy all these things to do this job. They're just handy to have if you do a lot of work, but certainly in this job you're not going to spill much fluid if you just took the hose off and replaced it. But I'll share the ones that I believe will be helpful in the description. In order to access this transmission filter, we're going to have to get under the car and take off the plate right in the front. So we're going to go ahead and jack up just the front two wheels. I have a separate video on my channel about how to jack up this car, where the jack points are and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and get this up on two jacks in the front. Okay, so we use the front jack point to jack it up, and then we put our jack stands on both sides in the front like that, just enough to give us some room to work. And then, since we're only jacking up the front, we use wheel chocks on the back so that it can't slip backwards. And then we move our jack for safety out of the way, and we have it on a frame under there as a secondary way to hold the car up. So we have not trusting our life to just a jack stand. So now we're going to get under there and get started. Okay, when I'm filming under the car, just so you understand the orientation, we're gonna be right under this front part. So we're gonna take off this front cover. See those plastic clips? So that's what I'll be taking off, this very front plastic cover, in order to access the transmission filter. I'll do the rest of my filming from under there, but we're going to be working right under the front of the car. Okay, for some perspective, sliding under the front of the car, right in the middle, you come back and you see this is your coolant drain. Right here, this is where your coolant drains, right here. And you keep coming back a little bit more till you get under this front jack point where I'm at right now. And then when you get past that bar and you look in there, this is your transmission filter right there. So the hoses on either side, a little clamp, and this is our filter right here. So to get to that, we're gonna take off the plastic cover with all the clips. So we're going to do that now. There's a lot of them. Without taking that cover off, I was able to slide this one off the hose a little bit, but I just think it's probably worth the time to take the cover off. But it is possible, if these clips were rotated down, you might be able to change that without taking the cover off. But my clips are up, so we're going to go ahead and just take the cover off. So these plastic clips we're talking about, so we want to take this cover off here, not this one all the way in the front, but we have to loosen these clips to get this out of there. So I've got these two different tools to use for that. One of them is this one that I had never used for the clips, and the other one is this tool right here, which they both work. I've already got that one off. So like the idea to do this without breaking them is that you just kind of get it under there, and then they're like those push pins, and so you take them out like that. And then just to show you this other one, the idea, see if I can get my video right, it's hard to video in that tight space, is to get that in there and then pinch like that, and it pulls out like that. So not a bad idea to have a couple different tools if you need to do this stuff a lot. So I'm gonna get these push pins out. So on these clips, you're going to have 4 across the bottom. Okay. And then on each side, if you go over by your tire, you're going to see that, see, where am I? Come over here to the outside. This is almost to the edge of the vehicle. You're going to have one hex nut like that, and then you're going to have, going on up the wheel well, you're going to have one there and one there. Those are push pins. So if I'm right, and this is all there is, you're going to have the 4 on the bottom, the 2 push pins on each side, giving you a total of 8 push pins, and then one of these, I believe this is a 10 millimeter, we're going to find out right now, on each side. So a total of 10 fasteners, 8 of them being push pins, 2 of them being 10 millimeter bolts. Okay, this is what it looks like with all of our clips removed. So we're gonna take this cover off now. Want to make sure you wear eye protection anytime you're working on your car, especially anytime you're under your car, because there'll be little pieces of dirt and debris that fall whenever you separate covers like this. They're you know, covered in dirt and things like that. So make sure you've got your eyes covered and be careful. Okay, so I missed one clip. This one's still on. I didn't see that one. So I got all these in the front. The thing's hanging down, but I missed that one. So I'm gonna go back and get that one off. So that's how the plastic cover looks when it comes off. So that would make 9 plastic clips and 2 10mm bolts. And that's the orientation of what it looks like. So I'm just gonna set that off to the side in the same orientation as you see it now, so I don't even have to worry about getting it back in there right. So I'm just going to slide it over here. I need it facing that same way for when we put it back. And now we're going to get back under there and have access to hopefully get that filter changed. So now when we come under the middle of the car, we've got that whole cover off where we can see up in there. There's our filter, but now we can reach all the way around it from every direction to get access. So we're gonna pinch these clips. They have these clips on the top, which is what's making it hard for me to get this from the underside. I think when I put this back, I'm gonna rotate these to where they're in the front, where if I ever had this car long enough to do it again, they'd be here where I might be able to get them without taking that cover off. So, but I doubt it's ever going to need changed again. So we're going to take those off. We're going to take the hose off of each side. That's when you can have some dripping of some fluid, but it will not pour out. There'll just be a few drips. And then there is a 10mm bolt. I believe it's this one that, yeah, holds that bracket in there. So I'll be taking off that bolt, I believe, to take this bracket off, which is what holds that filter in there. So we're gonna do that now. Okay, so the first step was for me to take these hose clamps, which were a real pain because the clips were up there at the top, and get them separated. And I did find it better to use these specialty pliers for that purpose, which is what they're made for. And I'm going to put a link to those in the description. So now I'm going to separate the hose from the filter. So that's going to be what I do next. Okay, so now I got the hose clamps moved far enough away where we're actually on the softer hose part, and I got the clamps rotated where they're towards me now so I can see what I'm doing. So now we're going to work on getting those hoses separated. This is from the front of the vehicle. I went ahead and used these hose clamps, put them on the outside of the clamps to prevent leakage. These clamp pliers that I have squeezing on the hose to prevent fluid, so that all I'll deal with is the fluid that's sitting right here when I separate the hoses. Okay, these hoses were put on very good, so there's no space to fit any tools. So we're going to use this this pick tool to do our best without damaging the hose to separate. So we're just going to have to create some separation here from the filter and the hose. Okay, so using the pick tool, I was able to create some separation. So now I'm going to be able to use this tool. The black side goes toward the filter, the silver side goes towards where we're wanting to remove the hose, and then we squeeze. Okay, it separates. I'm gonna have to get my rag because I'm gonna get dirty. You can see that's about to pop off. Same thing on the other side. I put the black side towards the filter. Hope you can see. Yeah, the silver side towards the hose. Hope you can appreciate that this is not easy to film here. And then you squeeze and it separates that hose. Now I'm gonna get my rags to catch any residue and pop those hoses off. Okay, so we got both hoses off, is kind of dripping out of this one side of the filter. And then this is, I guess, why the cover needs to come off, is on this other side, the front side. This is our angle. So we're gonna take off this bolt right here that holds our bracket. So as far as the orientation of the filter, that bracket has a slot in it that matches up with, here's our new filter. See how it's got that raised ring? So we're just gonna, it's gonna go, you know, in this direction. See how the ring's on the right side? So our ring will be on the right side. So we'll just put it in like that. It's the only way it'll fit with that bracket. So we're gonna remove this nut and take that old filter off. Okay, so that was a 10mm bolt. So now our filter just comes right out of this bracket. It does have some fluid spilling out of that one side. Just have your rag ready. Just gonna leave our old one there. Take our bracket off. Put it right on our new one. So now our new one is right. I just want to point out with this bracket that there's this little slot that holds this on. So that's how you put that on, and then the ring of your filter goes in there, and then we put our bolt back on. So we're going to do that now. Okay, so now our new filter is sitting there. So now we just need to slide our hoses on both sides and put our hose clamps in place. There's enough transmission fluid left in those hoses to lubricate the hose, so it slides right on that filter. You don't need to worry about lubing the metal parts of the filter. The hose slides right on it. So now all that's left to do, we've rotated these towards us now. So we're gonna pinch those in and slide them up to hold the hose on the shaft of that filter. Okay, so with those clips facing toward me, so much easier. And now all I have to do is put the cover back on. Okay, we have our cover on, the job is done. We're just gonna take it off the jack stands and this will be it. Just want to point out that even though specialty tools are often looked at as optional, this job was made much better by, you're going to need some sort of pick to get those hoses off the old filter shaft. You're going to need something to get those clips off without breaking them. Something like this worked very well. I did not find that this specialty tool worked as well as this more simple clip removal tool. So I have never broken a clip using this one. Those kind of clamps made it difficult being on the top of the hose. So once I did get them loosened, I rotated them to face me, which made it a lot easier. This specialty plier made that much easier to get those kind of clamps off. And this, to remove the hose, I would say is optional, because once you use the pick to separate it a little bit, you could easily get it off of there without using this. This makes it easier, but this would have not been necessary. Same with these hose clamps. There's not a lot of fluid that's going to come out of those hoses. Since I had them, I used them. But again, I would say these are optional, those are optional. But would definitely recommend something like this for those clips, this for the plastic clips, and this to get the hose away from there. I'll put links to these in the description for you to decide if you need them or not. Hope that's helpful.